we are going to talk, as you know, about the technology market for recruiters. Some of you guys here may also be from the sales department, so I think a lot of these insights will be useful for you as well. All right, so let's dive right in. A quick introduction. We are going to talk about the essential IT terminology for recruiters so that you know what really matters. We are going to talk about how to analyze technical job requirements, how to source candidates, not the easy way, but the proper professional way, how to engage with candidates, especially with those that have already lots of opportunities, who are busy, who have good jobs, how to qualify candidates. And I have also a special bonus for you guys here today. We are going to also cover what to do with top 1% candidates, how to get their attention, how to get them excited about a specific opportunity. Hey, if you would like to learn more about me, you can visit my website, michaljuhas.com. Cool. So let's dive right in. Why I was invited to join this presentation? Well, because over 5,000 recruiters joined my premium training and courses. I published over 450 videos on YouTube. I recorded over 150 podcast interviews with industry experts. I organized 100 sourcing webinars with over 2,000 recruiters present. I trained recruiters in agencies based in the United States, the UK, several European countries, also Asia, especially India, including teams from Manpower, Experis, Accenture, and other international agencies. I also personally recruited for over 30 technology startups and scale-ups with over 100 hired candidates. So I'll share insights based on all of this experience. You may also recognize me based on these mind maps. These are very popular. When I created the first one, I had no clue that people will love them so much. Thousands of people purchased the booklet already. They use it, they share it with colleagues. They use it to learn about the IT world and also how to find candidates based on different technology keywords. So let's dive right in. Now, when I'm talking about the technology keywords, the vocabulary, what does it really mean? As a recruiter, you may receive messages such as this one. Hi, Alma. I like how the idea of React sounds, but I cannot say that I did enough development as BE with Node.js. I do have knowledge, though, about Express and GraphQL with Node.js, but I did a lot more REST development with Golang or Ruby on Rails. Dude, I mean, what are you talking about, right? It's not rocket science at the end of the day. As a recruiter, you should be able to uncover what this prospective candidate is trying to say. So he is trying to say that he worked on development, especially related to JavaScript or TypeScript with Node.js. You see, BE stands for backend. So I did enough development as backend developer with Node.js. Node.js is usually through either JavaScript or TypeScript. And the last sentence says, I did a lot more REST development with Golang or Ruby on Rails, which essentially means he was creating backend APIs with languages called Go or Ruby. Awesome. So this is something you may be receiving every day, and you should wake up in the middle of the night and know what do these candidates actually mean. So if you as a sales professional or a full end-to-end recruiter meet a client, he or she may say something like, I'm looking for a front-end developer with data visualization background. And you may be like, wait, what are you talking about? There is a better way, of course, to do it, especially if you learn what the programming languages and frameworks are usually used for. So there are these two mind maps. We are not going to go through these two because it would take way too long, but you can download the mind map and do it on your own later after we finish, just to make sure that you know what the common IT terminology really means. For example, when someone says agile or Kanban or Scrum or data center or cloud, so you are aware of these keywords. There are also technical acronyms, so the abbreviations that start with the first letter. For example, CMS, Content Management System, or OS, Operating System. So these appear all over again on technical job descriptions. Then how to use this in practice? Well, once you know what programming languages and frameworks are usually used for a specific purpose, for example, front-end developers use React or Angular for front-end development, then you can come up with a Boolean search that focuses on the title, software and engineer or developer, and then skills may be, for example, React or Vue or Vue.js or Angular, right? Like this way you can come up with more advanced search query. There is also a checklist in our e-learning platform. Make sure that you understand the common IT vocabulary. There is also one common mistake, which is the underestimating the importance of IT terminology. I have created this self-assessment checklist that can help you understand where you are at on the scale from I have no clue to I am confident that I have covered the most important keywords. So you can try the checklist in our members portal. Okay, section 2 focuses on analyzing IT job requirements. Super important. This is really, really important. The mistake number 2 that recruiters often make is not spending enough time analyzing the needs of hiring managers. I'll also tell you now what the mistake number 3 is, and then we will dive deeper. So the mistake number 3 is not diving deep enough to understand how to sell the opportunity to candidates. They are connected to each other, right? Like one means I don't spend enough time figuring out who is the hiring manager looking for. And the second means I'm not understanding enough on how to sell this opportunity to the right prospective candidate. Okay, and now let's dive deeper. Like, what does it mean with regards to analyzing the needs? Now, the average recruiter takes the job description from a hiring manager and starts sourcing candidates out of the blue, right? I've noticed that top recruiters usually start with a blank sheet of paper. They thoroughly interview the hiring managers, could be 1 or 2 people, and then they rewrite the job description from scratch. And only then they start sourcing. This is important because while analyzing the needs of hiring managers, you may notice that something is more important, something is less important. Maybe a sentence or 2 were just copied from the previous job description and is no longer relevant at all, right? So without you taking time to understand the needs of hiring managers, you would waste time looking for people who might not be a good fit anyway. This is how you can analyze job requirements properly. By going through all of these sections systematically, you can use this mind map. There is also a template in our members portal where you can cover all of these areas, starting with the technical stack, of course, the core competencies, what is must have, what is nice to have, what is the required seniority in a specific field or in a specific industry or with certain technologies, or overall seniority. Are we looking for someone with specific background, specific industry expertise? Where are we allowed to source candidates? Is there anything interesting about the team? What is interesting about the project? What are some upcoming challenges, right? Like these are all the questions that you can ask hiring managers. And then you rethink the job description from scratch. You go from the super boring, unclear job description to something that is not too long. I mean, as in the sentences don't have to be long. Bullet points work quite well in the technology space, but you would rather cover the areas that are most important for prospective candidates. Now, speaking of prospective candidates, you also need to get them excited, right? So not diving deep enough is one of the mistakes, right? How do you understand who is this a dream job for? The average recruiter doesn't really know what is unique about the role. and he or she cannot sell it to candidates. And the top recruiter, on the other hand, knows exactly how to sell to the target candidate. The top recruiter takes time to understand who is the target customer or the target candidate, what is important for that person. I mean, we generalize, of course, so we are not talking about a specific candidate, but about a persona. And we think about what could potentially get this person excited about the opportunity. I can show you another mind map that can help you get through the process. It is a mind map called How to Pitch Technical Job Opportunities. And again, I like to start with a question, who is this a dream job for? Then I like to think about some interesting challenges ahead. Maybe the team culture. Maybe there is some very interesting person working in the company, maybe some influencer, or maybe someone who is very strong in certain technology. Maybe there is something interesting about the technologies the company uses. Maybe the product is being used by millions of people around the world, and this should be highlighted. Or maybe the company processes tons of data, and it would be very appealing to the data engineers or DevOps engineers. Maybe the company has just raised tons of money from investors and is about to scale rapidly. Okay, so once you understand what is interesting about the company, the team, the product, the project, the opportunity overall, then you think about the prospective candidate, like what could be out of all of this, what could be interesting for him or her. You could even dive deeper and think about the specific job categories, such as QA or data engineering or software engineering. These people are driven by different aspects of the job. For example, if we look at the QA on the right, you can see that QA engineers, analysts, they like to work on interesting products because it's more fun to test them. They like to work on products that are being used by lots of people because they can collect feedback from customers. On the other side, data engineers often like to work on products that collect lots of data because there is a lot of data to analyze, right? So if you can say, hey, Joe, I'm working with a company that processes 5 petabytes of data per month, and we are looking for a data engineer to help us analyze it. I mean, that's a proper selling point. So moving on to the sourcing part. Okay, now when you have a clarity about the ideal candidate, you know what the requirements are, you probably start sourcing candidates, right? Today, it looks so easy that any teenager on a beach can be sourcing candidates, but that's just the perception, okay? My 12-year-old son could also open LinkedIn and just type front-end developer to the search bar, but he would be just scratching the surface. That's not really sourcing. I mean, that's just what kids do these days. You open LinkedIn, you type front-end developer, you get some people, right? So you may be under the impression that you are conducting some proper sourcing, but you are not, okay? You are just scratching the surface. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more that you can uncover through a more systematic sourcing strategy. So you start thinking about the overall talent pool. Who are the people? How many are there on the market? For example, Java developers in Munich. Are there 500 Java developers or 5,000 or 50,000 Java developers in Munich? Out of those, how many are senior? How many are junior? Out of those, how many work with certain front-end technology? For example, React or Angular. How many of them focus only on the backend API development? And then you start conducting the search, targeting first the most ideal prospect based on the seniority, based on the location, based on the other technologies he or she may use. Okay, and you conduct a proper systematic search. This is so much better. So the mistake number 4 is not preparing and developing the sourcing strategy. And I know it feels awkward sometimes. Often it just feels better to get your hands dirty, to start sourcing, right? Open LinkedIn Recruiter and type a few keywords right there. But I mean, that's just like a surgeon who would enter the surgery without really thinking what he is going to do, right? You would not want to be in that room as a patient. Okay, so this is what a proper sourcing strategy could look like, where you look at the front-end developers with different keywords. You look at people who right now are front-end developers based on their LinkedIn profiles, or people who were in the past, people who use certain technology, people who are within certain region. And of course, this continues, right? So this is just a screenshot of above the fold. So when you meet the hiring manager and he says, I'm looking for a front-end developer with data visualization background, well, now you as a professional recruiter, you already know that you would use a title with different variations, because that's what people do, right? They are creative. Some type it with one word, some type it with a dash or a space in between. Keywords would include the languages, JavaScript or TypeScript, because that's what front-end developers use at the end, right? Now, front-end developers also use React, Angular, or React.js. I mean, React and React.js are the same, but people type it in a different way. The data visualization libraries are, for example, D3.js or HighCharts or Chart.js. So you consider these keywords in your search strategy, and then you start putting it all together. And this is where the fun really starts. So how do you recognize a professional recruiter? Well, you can simply ask this question, or you can frame it as a statement. Describe your sourcing strategy for your last project. And then you will see whether in front of you is a professional or whether this is someone who is like my 12-year-old son, just opening LinkedIn and typing whatever keywords. IT candidate engagement is also very important these days when candidates are overwhelmed with opportunities. They get lots of messages, today even automatically generated with ChatGPT or whatever other tool out there. So how do you recognize an amateur recruiter? What do you guys think? Well, you just look at their outbound messages, right? The amateurish recruiters, they often write very long messages. They often copy and paste the content of the job description. And that just doesn't work these days. You know, it's 2025 as I'm recording this with you guys. And, it's just still, I'm floored when I'm seeing some message which you need to scroll down in the chat message, and like people are just not responding to that anymore. So the mistake number 5 is sending too long messages, emails, right? Too long just doesn't work. Mistake number 6 is sending too boring messages focused on you as a recruiter, not the candidate. The example would be starting most of the messages with, I am recruiting for a company. I noticed that something is on your profile. I'm working with this team and we are looking, would you help me find someone? I mean, who cares about you, right? Everyone cares about themselves. The front-end developer cares about his next project. The project manager cares about her next engagement. So think about the other person when you are sending the message and writing it. Mistake number 7 is not calling enough. I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, people these days are not calling. It takes so much time, even with colleagues in my team, to just get them to pick up the phone and dial the number and speak with the people. It's unbelievable, but it works. I mean, it works. I'm speaking with candidates every day. I just pick up the phone, I call them, and it works. You can call with FaceTime, you can call with WhatsApp, you can Just dial the regular phone number, the hashtag old school way, and it works. With regards to the candidate engagement, curiosity works extremely well. Now, how do you trigger curiosity? Well, you don't want to reveal everything upfront. You don't overshare, and ideally, you get the person on a call ASAP because that's how you can sell the opportunity and set the next steps. As an example, here I wrote to Renata, I have a very interesting sourcing opportunity on my desk from a top trading company. Would you be up for a quick chat to see if it aligns with your goals and dreams? And she responded, hey, how are you? Sounds interesting and a bit mysterious. I'd love to understand more. And then we hopped on a quick call. Okay, so exactly this is the emotion you would like to trigger, the curiosity, the excitement about something that could be coming and you don't know what. Okay. For top 1% engineering candidates, you can go the extra mile. Curiosity works in this case as well, but you may want to customize the message a bit. You may want to personalize it based on what you see on their profiles, based on what you know about them from others, or based on what you have noticed somewhere online. Make sure that you use the right vocabulary, and again, get them on a call ASAP. Here is an example with someone who worked for Cloudflare, someone who has, based on the LinkedIn profile, lots of experience building distributed systems with the security and networking sector. So I wrote the message with the subject. It was an email. High traffic distributed systems at trading. The message continues. Hi, Andras. You seem to have vast experience in the networking and security space. I'm working with a high frequency trading company that trades 3 billion per day across 10 exchanges. Imagine that traffic. And the team is looking for a highly specialized engineer to help them decrease latency to trade more effectively. Would you like to receive a one-page or PDF with more info about what you could help with? Role, team challenges, compensation. Okay, so I trigger curiosity. Now, after he received this message, he was probably thinking, gosh, I'm wondering what is in this PDF? I mean, what's the challenge? What is this company all about? I mean, how can they trade $3 billion per day? And then he responded. I sent him the PDF. We hopped on a call. So you see how this progresses, right? Curiosity, but also with top candidates, don't just send a simple messages like this. Hey, I have a very interesting programming opportunity on my desk. Would you be up for a quick chat? That may not be enough for the top candidate. So go a bit further. A little reminder, your goal is to get this person on a call ASAP, because that's how you can sell those opportunities. You would not sell opportunities through typing messages on LinkedIn. So how do you recognize a professional recruiter? Well, she can come up with reasons why to call now and strategically trigger a sense of urgency. Now, what do I mean by that? For example, you may work on an evergreen role and you are looking for several people for the same vacancy, for example, software engineer. So in that case, there is really no deadline, right? But you come up with some deadline or some reason to call now. You can say, hey, next week, I would like to have 3 interviews with the hiring manager. So I will just pick up the phone and I will tell the prospect that I have 3 slots next week and they have an opportunity to be included there. Okay, so coming back to this Andreas, I would pick up the phone and tell him, hey, Andreas, great that you are interested. Very cool. I'm looking at the calendar. Our VP has 3 slots for interviews next week, and then he's going for a vacation. So I would love to get you inside his calendar. I would like to get you in front of him so that you have the opportunity to learn more about what we do and how you could fit in. Okay, so you come up with reasons to call now and trigger the sense of urgency. Number 5, candidate qualification. Mistake number 8 in this respect would be conducting unstructured and unprepared qualification calls with candidates. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the professionals before their first call, identify the areas that need to be screened. They prepare a report or scorecard template for each candidate and focus on highlights. So, why is the candidate worth the hiring manager's time? Why should we fast track him or her? Okay, so consider the hiring manager's time. Every hour is very valuable. We can put some price tag on it, or we can kind of just imagine it could be 500 euros per hour. So now, why should the manager waste those 500 euros with this candidate? Is it because the person has extremely strong background with very specific low latency application development, or is it because the person has a very strong background in a specific industry? Why? What is it? Okay, so this is what the report with a highlight could look like. You focus exactly on what the hiring manager is interested in. Prepare this well before your first qualification call. This candidate, Marco, is a front-end developer. This is also for the data visualization project. So on the report, I mentioned he's very excited about data. He likes to think about data and how to visualize it on the front end. He even mentioned, quotes, I like to manage to make it easier for users to understand data through filters or anomalies. E-commerce is boring compared to data visualization. There are lots of other libraries for me to explore. Every time I can learn something new, said Marco. And I highlighted it for the hiring manager so that he would become, or he would get excited about meeting Marco. This is an example of the scorecard for the project manager role with the supply chain background. You can see that there are different areas that we need to ask the candidate before sending the candidate for a meeting with the hiring manager. We dive deeper to the overall experience related to IT project management, experience related to supply chain or warehouse management, enterprise resource planning systems. The English fluency, the communication skills, the availability, the salary expectation. I mean, there is a lot, right? And you don't want to miss it. You don't want to just hop on a call and take some notes and then eventually you forget half of these things. Okay, so that's why such scorecards work very well. I mentioned a bonus at the beginning of this presentation. Working with top 1% candidates requires a different approach. Now, what approach is it? Well, candidates who are from top companies, think of Google, Facebook, Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, or candidates who studied at top schools, think of MIT, Berkeley, or candidates who won mathematics, physics, science competitions, candidates who do algorithmic challenges just for fun because they like it, are smarter than average. And they also need a different approach because they have lots of opportunities to choose from. So you obviously need to find them. So the sourcing you cannot skip. Qualification you can most likely skip because if someone won an international mathematics or physics competition or probably some computer science coding challenge, well then you would not ask the person some basic questions, right? Instead, you would focus on building up the excitement to get the person excited about the opportunity, get the person excited about how he or she can thrive in this company. Like what a wonderful opportunity it is for the candidate to deploy his knowledge in this new company. So instead of the standard qualification call, do this. First, situation analysis. What is on top of their mind regarding their career? Identify a few challenges, could be just one really. What are they not satisfied with? What frustrates them? And it can be, for example, their manager, or probably the company went through an acquisition and it's no longer fun anymore. Or maybe they have to commute for an hour every day. Now, choose this challenge and think about the implication of this. I mean, sort of twist the knife, right? Why staying in the same job sucks? Why this 1 hour long commute sucks? Why working in a team where the manager is not really fun to be with? Why this sucks? And eventually transition to the needed payoff. I mean, what would get the person to consider a new opportunity? Is it money? Is it to remove the necessity to commute? Or is it the relocation package? Is it the assistance to help the person find a new school and then cover the tuition? So try to identify the objections. Sometimes people think that they cannot change a job right now, but why, right? Is it because they are expecting some bonuses to materialize in 6 months, or is it because their ESOP is vested? Is it because they just don't want to relocate with family? Okay, so when you know that needed payoff, then think about the objections that prevent them from making the change, and then propose them the new opportunity matching the above desires and objections. You essentially sell them on the next step. Okay, you sell them on getting through the technical assessment or the whatever the first step is. But this is super important, and it's really difficult, right? Because you are on a call with a candidate who already earns a lot of money. They already have a wonderful opportunity. They have lots of money in the bank. They work for a cool company. So why would they change a job, right? But something may be frustrating them. And once you uncover it, then you twist the knife and you propose the new opportunity as a solution to their problem. And this is fun, really. This is fun. So as a quick recap of what we discussed, what does the next level look like for a lot of recruiters out there, for you guys probably as well, is first, thorough analysis of job descriptions. Selling points must be identified. Otherwise, you will struggle getting candidates interested. Sourcing strategy should be prepared and peer reviewed. Compelling outbound messages, short and sweet. Scorecard template prepared before a qualification call. Uncover candidates' career desires and challenges. Sell the opportunity accordingly. Oh, and by the way, don't forget about AI. It's everywhere. In all of these steps, you can deploy some AI. You can obviously chat with ChatGPT to help you prepare for the next step, but don't skip any of them. Selling points, very important. Sourcing strategy, very important. Compelling outbound messages, very important. Scorecards, important. Uncovering candidates' desires, important. There is nothing for you to skip. You can use AI, but don't let AI to skip any of these steps. You can also book a private session with me and your team if you'd like to dive deeper. I conduct deeper sessions either in person or online with teams from all over the globe, from the United States and Canada, from the UK, also from European countries. I also have clients that have recruiting teams in India, so I can handle all of these time zones. I have over 190 reviews on Trustpilot. You can go check it out. Some of them are highlighted here. Some people say, hey, before starting this training, I ignored candidates' hard skills about the job posting. I just did broad searches and submitted without screening properly, but I've been able to do better searches through this training and now screen candidates better. Feedback, usually 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 in this case. Excellent training program. Thank you. Someone else wrote, hey, many thanks for the prompt reaction. Everything was smooth through the whole process. Everyone was helpful, responsive. I want to give a shout out to Tech Recruitment Academy, Michal, for their amazing course. It's a fantastic course that I can personally vouch for. You better join the Tech Recruitment Academy. Certificates, screenshots. I mean, there is a lot of testimonials, recommendations online. I'll not go through all of them, but if you guys consider joining the full cycle course, then you may want to check some of them online. You can book a private session for your team. You would increase their competencies, place more candidates as a result. So just visit my website, michaeljuhas.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, and we will take it from there.